This is a story I had written up a while ago, but had been very hesitant to post. It's just something really embarrassing and seems incredibly lame when I look back at it. At the time, though, it totally freaked me out. Yet I still have no real explanation for what really happened. There's no blood or gore, no sharp teeth or razor-sharp claws. No one died and no one got injured. So it just didn't seem like that great a story, right? But I can't stop thinking about it. And I hope that someone might be able to shed more light on what happened. It was around the time of my encounter with Gurgles and Bugman. I can't recall exactly if it was before or after. Like that story, I had totally forgotten about it until my parents recently mentioned it in passing. It might be that the two events may even be related. It would have been around the time I was 5 or 6. Back then, my parents would drop me off at school early so they could head to the factory they worked in. After classes finished, I'd walk myself back home and have an hour to myself before my parents returned. They'd check up on me and make a quick dinner before leaving again for a shift at their second job, cleaning up after patrons at the local cinema. From the time they left until the time they returned shortly after midnight, they'd make sure to lock all the doors and windows to the house. So it was normal for me to be at the house at night by myself. More often than not, the TV wouldn't be working, so I'd amuse myself with the random assorted knickknacks in my room. As my parents weren't wealthy, I had to create my own toys, like building forts with empty matchboxes for my makeshift Voltron, an odd collection of toy cars held together with rubber bands and popsicle sticks to destroy. I'm a bit hazy on the exact plot back then, but I knew that my Voltron liked to destroy things. Most of the time it would be pretty uneventful. But one night as I was playing, I heard a strange sound coming from the other side of the house. It was a faint scraping noise that lasted about a second. I looked out the door to my room down the hallway that led to the kitchen around the corner. Seeing nothing out of place, I continued playing. A few moments later, I heard the scraping sound again. While the lights were off in the rest of the house, the light from my bedroom spilled far enough down the hallway that I still had decent visibility. There was still nothing I could see that was making that noise, though. I stopped playing and kept staring out into that hallway instead. The noise started up again, slightly louder, and with a faster pace. Suddenly, at the end of the hallway, a silvered helium balloon levitated into view. It seemed half deflated in the way that it was slightly scrunched up and floated lazily halfway up in the air with a string loosely hanging below. I watched as the balloon bobbed forward, tugging the string tightly as it lurched and then letting it slacken again. It bobbed forward again, until the shiny glint of a metal washer tied to the other end of the string could be seen. With each pull, the washer was scraping against the tiled floor, producing that sound. I was staring with total fascination at this balloon. Where did it come from? My parents could never afford a treat like this. How was it moving? At that age, the world did seem just that much more magical. And as I was watching, it slowly began rotating towards me. On its front was printed the face of a clown. It had totally exaggerated features like comically large black eyes, a dark red ball for a nose, and these giant blue lips fixed with an exaggerated frown. Or at least it would have been comical, if not for the way its features were distorted and collapsed by the balloon being partially deflated. In the partial light of the hallway, it seemed positively sinister. It had stopped moving towards the wall and started to head down the hallway towards me. Something felt very wrong, and a feeling of panic began to set in. It was now about a third of the way down the corridor, his painted eyes seemingly locked onto mine. I wanted to react, but was frozen to the spot. I came to my senses and started throwing things at it that were within reach. My hands were shaking so much that they were wide off the mark and ended up just hitting the side walls. The next few shots were closer, but I swear that thing, it seemed to dodge some of the particularly near misses. Maybe it was just air turbulence as objects whizzed past it. I managed to get a hold of a jar of marbles from a nearby shelf. I poured some out and threw a handful all at once toward the approaching balloon. One managed to hit the top of its head, sending it floating backwards a few inches with a thwack sound. It gently rose back, like Nosferatu from his coffin, with a crease between its eyebrows where I had hit it. If anything, it now looked even more angry and malevolent. It darted forward more quickly towards me. You know, it's fucking ridiculous, for Christ's sakes. It's just a freaking balloon, and a half-filled one at that, right? I mean, seriously, how is it going to hurt me? Yet I felt with great certainty, I knew that whatever it was there to kill me. Crying, I got up and slammed the door to my room before it could reach me. I sat with my back to the door, pushing against it as hard as I could since I didn't have a lock. I could hear the balloon rubbing against the door and the washer jingling on the tiles below. After a few minutes, it all went quiet, except for my sobbing. I spent the rest of the night sitting up against the door until I had fallen asleep. It wasn't until after midnight that I was woken up again by my parents pushing on the door to check up on me. They chewed me out for making a mess in the hallway and almost tripped them over with those loose marbles everywhere. I told them about what I saw. They were rightly skeptical, but searched the house with me. We found no trace of it. The doors and windows were still shut and locked as they should have been. It wasn't until the following morning after I cleaned up the rest of the hallway that I found a piece of string attached to a metal washer in the corner. I showed it to my parents during breakfast and they just said it was my overactive imagination. They thought I probably made that from my toy collection at some point. I never did as far as I remember. And besides, there was no balloon, deflated or not, to be found anywhere. As part of my ongoing punishment, they made me walk to school that day. Who knows? Maybe they were right. Maybe it was something I created out of my imagination, like houses made of matchboxes and a Voltron out of rubber bands and sticks. Or maybe I'd just fallen asleep and dreamt all of it up. All I knew was in my pocket was this infernal piece of string looped around a washer that I was scared shitless about. I knew I had to get it as far away from me as I could. Being a kid, the furthest place I knew and could easily get to was a large parkland area just beyond the school. That afternoon, I took a detour there on the way home and threw it as far as I could over the trees. I never thought about it again since, until recently when I was reminded. I never did see anything like it again. I don't know if it still lies there on the ground, or if it's dangling from some branch, or whether whatever force controlled it found its way to some other home. Ever since I remembered it, I've been trying to hunt down more information about whatever it was. I haven't found anything online or through people I've chatted with. I'm obsessed with trying to understand what I saw. It's for that reason I've decided to share the story here too, despite my reluctance. So I'd love to hear from you if you've ever encountered whatever this thing was too, and to say that I'm sorry. With the benefit of hindsight, I do wonder if I did the right thing. Maybe I should have disposed of it more thoroughly, like putting it in a jar and burying it, or finding some fire or river to throw it into. Will be the equivalent of Mount Doom for a 6-year-old. I can't help but feel that rather than getting rid of it, perhaps all I did was set it free. If you made it this far, I hope you'll follow me on Twitter at KingSpookCreepy. Also, if you're feeling generous, I'd appreciate it if you donate even $1 to my Patreon over at patreon.com/KingSpook. Every dollar helps. The hope is eventually I'll be able to get enough through Patreon that I can do this full time. Thanks for watching. And I'd like to specially thank all my patrons. For the $50 tier, William Logston. For the $20 tier, Christian Nolan, Lecter, City of Dis, Cherry Furstein. For the $10 tier, Jules Latona, Corey Yoder, Nathan G. Griner, Oblong Doucheboy, Wicked Star. And for the $5 tier, Nico E., Deborah Alexander, Charles Anderson, April Rose, Amy Simon, Patrick Kelly, Gage Garza, Alkaline, Misael Cruz, David Harner, Myelin, Dragonfly, Cordo Rudent, Shion, The Plague, and for those who chose no specific reward, Celeste Schmidt, Alex P., Alexander Rodriguez, Jennifer, Heather Snodgrass, Minister Elena C. Henderson, Caleb Doinkies, Matthew Bergman, Daniel Smokala, Sandra Credu, Dustin May. And so, yeah, I mean, if anybody else who's listening wants to become a patron, you can go to my Patreon by just going to patreon.com/KingSpook, I believe. And also, the reason why I ask for Patreon is because if you've noticed, a decent amount of YouTubers in the narration community, not even horror in general, there's actually was a guy who did Sherlock Holmes narrations, people have been getting demonetized from something called duplication. So basically, I've been getting comments saying, well, I wish you would do daily videos, and I'm thinking, well, if I can get 4,000 a month from patrons, if I can get 4,000 a month from patrons, then it won't matter if I eventually do get demonetized because I'll still be able to do daily videos. Like, if I right now lost all my monetization, I probably would be able to maybe do a video a week, maybe less, because I'd have to find, first of all, I'd have to quit my current minimum wage job because it's just not going to do any, I won't even be able to live. And I would basically, I don't know, I'd be as depressed as I was before YouTube. So, I mean, yeah, if people want me to do more videos more often, then go to the Patreon and donate. You can donate $1. You can donate as much as you want, really. And I mean, yeah, well, as much or as little as you want, I should say. But yeah, so, I mean, I'm hoping that people will donate, and thanks to those who already do.